Yeah, I know it was expected. It's kind of like the old house cat that you have kicking around the place when it starts to approach a certain age, not moving as spryly as it used to, but it always hurts, right? Like, it hurts when you get that confirmation that, yeah, it does in fact need to get put down, even though you hope they would be around forever. But I think that's what we're all collectively feeling, all of us, who like Star Wars, who are fans of comedy, that the Acolyte will not be around for a second season. So many questions will continue to go unanswered. Like, what exactly did Master Vernestra have to say to Master Yoda? Why was Ki-Adi-Mundi's birth date rewritten in order to accommodate Leslye Headland's slapdash writing? Will Amanda Stenberg ever figure out a secondary expression? All of those ideas, all of those concepts will unfortunately go unanswered because there will be no season 2 for Disney Plus's Star Wars series. And here I'm wondering also at the same time when I heard this stuff, it's like, oh man, I was just, really thinking Lucasfilm is kind of a dumb enough company to greenlight a second season. How long before this gets the Willow treatment? How long before it gets decanonized and stripped off of Disney Plus? Because we're going to take a look at the numbers that led to this decision being made, and because it was so abysmal. If it wasn't, okay, I can imagine, right? Like, if it wasn't the lowest viewed show, they would have greenlit a second season. There were far too many teases in that finale. That's what, a month old at this point in time, and nobody's talked about this show. There's been talk about the show, mostly because Leslye Headland can't stop running her stupid mouth. Did anybody talking specifically about the contents of the show? Yeah, it's done. It's dusted. It's been memory hold, and I would imagine, and this would be very interesting, but then this would also be a big ego check, so I don't think it's going to happen, but it's very possible that, yeah, this could end up getting the Willow treatment, where it's taken off of Disney Plus in so much as nobody's watching it, and it's actually costing the company more to host it than it is being watched. Because Willow, what was it, from the time that it was premiered until the time that it was taken off the platform, it was less than 6 months. I'm wondering if this just doesn't get completely memory hold, because this was $180 million. $180 million. Such a black eye that they got from this. Wouldn't you think that they would at least try to do a little repair? You would think, right? But let's take a look. The story of the Acolyte will not continue. Darn it. With Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with a second season of the Star Wars offshoot starring Amanda Stenberg. Sources tell Deadline. A word of the decision comes more than a month after the 8 episodes first season of the series from creator, director, executive producer, and showrunner Leslye Headland wrapped its run on Disney Plus. The news is not entirely surprising. I know, right? The Acolyte did okay with the critics, yes, with a 78% review bomb on Rotten Tomatoes, but divided Star Wars fans. No, actually, that's incorrect. In one of the most united showings that I can remember since Disney purchased Lucasfilm, ended up generating a 14%? I think it ended up peaking at 14% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yes, it reflected in its overall viewership, where, yeah, I guess that's maybe where it was divided, because nobody was actually watching the show. Everybody was watching the content and the coverage by creators about the show, and that's the way that this Star Wars show is going to maintain a legacy, by just simply be the whipping post for the franchise, driven by interest into the venerable franchise. The Acolyte got off to a strong start. Did it really? Because even still, yeah, when it launched June 4th with 2 episodes generating 4.8 million views, when you end up running the numbers on that, you realize that, oh yeah, that wasn't exactly a strong start. That was actually lower than every other series under the Lucasfilm banner. The tally rose to 11.1 million views globally after 5 days of streaming, corroborating Disney's data. The series made its debut on the Nielsen's top 10 original charts in the premiere week at number 7, 488 million minutes viewed, climbing to number 6 the following week, and then falling off the charts until the finale came around, which we'll take a look at. But the Acolyte could not sustain momentum, dropping out of the top 10 week 3, staying off there before returning at number 10 for the release of the finale, 335 million minutes. Just, yeah, take a look at that, right? 488 million minutes for the 2-episode premiere, and then only getting $335 million for the finale, where if you combine the run length of the finale, because it was 46, 40, I think it was, yeah, anywhere between 46 and 49 minutes long, and in totality, the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte was in on and around that exact same length. That's not good. That's really not good. Like fellow global streamers, Netflix and Prime Video, Disney Plus has a high viewership threshold for renewing high-end, big-budget series that cost well above $100 million per season to make. And that's why under the Lucasfilm banner, how many shows have received a second season? All right, that's one. Oh, wow. Good thing we got that news that Kathleen Kennedy, before she retires, wants to end on a high note. So yeah, she's going to be around for a while. But Leslye Headland's The Acolyte canceled after abysmal finale ratings. And yeah, we'll take a look at that here. Deadlines, Nelly Andrevi reports the story of The Acolyte will not continue, with Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with the second season of the Star Wars offshoot starring Amanda Stenberg. Sources told Deadline. This report comes in the wake of the Nielsen ratings of the data. The Acolyte series finale aired. The show only managed to garner 335 million minutes watched, 488 for the finale. When you take a look at everything else, where that's Nielsen's original shows, I would imagine. Yeah, it barely clocks in at 10th. And it's also Disney Plus's only show on that list. That's pretty bad. Nielsen viewership numbers reflect a significant decline in reviews per episode. Yes, on the series on IMDb. The first episode received 26,000 reviews, while the finale only received 11,000. Oof, there's another failure of a metric. Not only did the show receive poor viewership, but those who did watch it did not like it. Yeah, and I watched it, and I liked it for different reasons, because I've never seen as incompetent show running in totality as that I've ever seen with such a high budget production like this, even though you couldn't tell at all where the $180 million went. The show has a 4.1 out of 10, with the plurality 45.8 of the reviews being a 1 out of 10. And yeah, what's the second highest demographic? Oh yeah, 10 out of 10. That just kind of tells you how, in general, 1 out of 10 scales and then also Rotten Tomatoes scales are just generally worthless, if we're being completely fair. But a 1 out of 10, that's actually, like, if you chalk it up objectively with the totality of the show, it's not being too harsh. Okay. The report also confirms a rumor of WDW Pro that indicates that Lucasfilm would not be moving forward with the show at the end of July. But this also, because it's reported by sources, and we got insiders reporting to Deadline, this also gives Lucasfilm the out. And they could. This is the dumbest company in all of entertainment. They could dismiss these rumors and just greenlight a second season to, I don't know, spite their accountants. He said at the same time, said source tells me that Leslye Headland does not, as of right now, have a contract for season 2 of The Acolyte. Said source tells me that following the finale of season 1 and the results that may have been coming in weeks ahead, the decision may have been coming in weeks ahead of the finale. Strange where you'd say that twice. There are no current plans to develop a second season. That could change. Kathleen Kennedy can always make that decision as long as she has the contract, which we believe is up in October of this year, and she's not going anywhere unless she wants to, so just stop it. And it may be continued past that in the current contract. But that's when the current contract would end. But Kathleen Kennedy could go ahead and approve that. But as of right now, we're told that there's no plans, no movements, and there's nothing in development for season 2 of The Acolyte. My source tells me everything in season 1 indicates that they did plan on doing a second season. Yeah, including Smilo Ren's backstory, the stranger, Kamir, Manny Jacinto, however you want to refer to him as. Like, he was supposed to be Outski after the big old lightsaber battle in episode 5, but because, they just showed off his arms. This is Leslye Headland in one of her stupid interviews, by the way. They just seen him in the costume and just thought, oh my god, we need to have more of him in the show to objectify an actor. It's totally fine when they do it, right? And yeah, his story was supposed to continue into the second season. That's very likely not going to happen. Oh well. But as of right now, the continuation of the story seems to be on indefinite hold, indefinite pause. But yes, to just simply drive a stake in the ratings argument to really put a stamp on its failure. The show performed extremely poorly compared to previous Star Wars Plus Disney series. As noted by X-User, now it's known. The show's finale performed worse than every single live-action Star Wars show released on Disney Plus before it, including Ahsoka, Andor, Obi-Wan Kenobi, The Book of Boba Fett, and The Mandalorian. Ahsoka's finale back in October of 2020 2023 saw its viewership hit 575 million minutes watched. The Acolyte's finale viewership was 41% less than Ahsoka. Similarly, Andor's finale brought in 674 million minutes watched. I thought nobody watched Andor, but Ahsoka had 99 million fewer minutes. Interesting. A year later, the Acolyte's viewership is over 50% less than Andor's. But Ahsoka's show is apparently getting a season 2, right? Because we got word of that at the same time that they announced Mandalorian and Grogu was getting a movie instead of a season 4. Okay. So make that one make sense. Ahsoka, besides The Acolyte, is the lowest viewed live-action Star Wars show, but it gets a second season. Obi-Wan, you have Ewan McGregor out there campaigning for a second season of that. No word about that at all whatsoever. That's why everybody thought, well, it's highly possible that The Acolyte does get a second season. So if it wasn't so embarrassingly low, yeah, there's a possibility that that could have happened. But because it was a fraction of everybody else's, right, just rounding out the numbers, Obi-Wan had 860 million minutes for the finale. Acolyte, 60% lower than that. Book of Boba Fett had 885 million. The Acolyte, 62% lower than that. Mandalorian Season 3, 1.012 billion minutes watched. Acolyte was 66% lower than that. If they could have mitigated those losses, if it would have been 30 or 40% drop off, then they could have been in business. But no, it really was that bad, okay? It was hilariously bad. It was canon-destroyingly bad. It was nobody defending this stuff bad. But hey, I bet you're excited for Skeleton Crew. That's supposed to come out this year, and I wonder how poorly that's going to be received, because the knock-on effect for Star Wars, yeah, it's been in place for a long, long time, because as you can see with those numbers, all of them are worse, because Book of Boba Fett came out first, then Kenobi. Mandalorian, well, to be fair, yeah, that one ended up being the highest, but it's still the lowest of the Mandalorian seasons, and nobody looks back upon Season 3 fondly, which will be interesting to see what ends up happening with the movie when it comes out in 2026. Star Wars is in a bad place, because after Skeleton Crew comes out this year, Andor Season 2, then what? A whole year of nothing? A whole year of nothing in 2025? Early 2026? But in all earnesty, and to be completely fair, I think Star Wars fans in general are probably happier with nothing at this point than anything that can even be perceived to be half as bad as what The Acolyte has done to the franchise. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.